threats of ransomware should put terror into the heart of every CEO or chairman, but too many companies are still not taking it fully seriously, even though the outlook for a company that's hit by it could be dire. So Wainwright is with me, the senior partner at Deloitte, who's been working on cyber and financial crime projects. Joins me now. Good to see you. What is it about ransomware that you're getting more concerned about than before?
Well, the scale's going up. I mean, just last year we saw that the average price being paid for ransom has doubled just in the space of a few
To
months.
what?
It's approaching $100,000 now.
Yeah.
And so more companies are getting hit, more companies are having to pay a ransom. And if you think about it, why is that? Because it's so easy still for a lot of criminals to make a lot of money. When you think about it, ransomware is just a digital age term for one of the oldest criminal tricks in the book, extortion. Criminals have been blackmailing businessmen for over 100 years. In the past, it was, unless you do this, unless you give me $10,000, I'm going to do this. Meet me under the bridge at midnight. Don't tell the cops. You didn't know if the cops would be there. Now, cryptocurrency changes all that because the criminal can do it in a perfectly anonymized way, offline, no physical handover of cash, doesn't even have to put the money through the regular financial system. And so technology, in this case, cryptocurrencies, has been a great criminal opportunity as well.
I understand that, but in the old days, the person meet me under the bridge with a suitcase, they were usually only threatening reputational crisis. Here, with ransomware, they're threatening existential crisis that the company might not be able to operate.
You know, that's a good point, because I think, up until now at least, ransomware has been a scattergun approach, throw out 100, hope you can hit 2 or 3. Now what we're seeing in the most dangerous forms of ransomware, just in the last 6 months, is they're going and targeting the bigger companies and knocking systems, not just your systems offline, but your backup systems as well. And that is then about existential, catastrophic loss.
Right, but you can understand a CEO saying, fine, I'll pay it. I mean, my company is a couple of billion. They're asking for 100K. We think they're pretty good. We think they're legit in the sense of they're going to give us our company back. It's fine for the police and the cyber authorities and you in your former job to say don't pay, but you don't have to run the business.
No, I don't. But there are risks in paying as well, because you might invite them to come back for more. So there's always risks here. And I think with the threat going up, it is very difficult. I'm not here to criticize.
No, but I want to know, what would you like them to do?
Well, I think that the kind of discussions that we're having at Deloitte with many of these global companies right now is, for example, it's completely changing the notion of what it is to have, for example, disaster recovery plans. We've been writing these plans for 30 years, and it's been about, I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to store all of our data in an offline environment, continuously replicate it. No longer, because by continuously keeping it online, you run the risk of exposing yourself to cyber attacks. So now this is about looking at what your critical data is, your mission-critical data. Do not connect it with your main systems. Keep it offline as much as possible. So that, we're
should you pay or should you not?
No. You're never going to get me as a former cop to say that. Come on.
That's right.
There are different ways of doing this, and we're fighting back.
All right. Quickly, before I let you go, election fraud, election hacking, the whole system of this. I mean, in a sense, it's different from cyber security, but it's not. And if it wasn't so serious, because now we're talking about somebody hacking our democracies, which I realise that sounds pretentious and some would say pompous, but that is what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's about trust in the democratic process.
Right.
There's nothing pompous about that. You're absolutely right. And it reflects the fact that cyber is now an everyday, everywhere issue. It's about, more we put our social lives, our business lives, and run our democracy online, we run the risk of that kind of criminal intrusion. Look, in the US, the federal authorities and their equivalents in Europe, for that matter, are clearly taking it seriously. You only have to look at some of the statements put out by the Department of Homeland Security, for example. So they've now got their eyes on the ball. And from what I know from my former job about their skills and capability here, I think they'll do a pretty good job here.
But I guess what I worry about with this particular aspect is it doesn't matter which fora we're talking about. The US election, the UK referendum, the general election 2012, the next set of Euro elections, a UN election. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. The potential for cyber mischief and disinformation is now one of the greatest threats, and I don't know what anybody does about it.
Well, it's a fact of life in the way in which we manage our business. As I said, it's a fact of life for governments in the way that they manage their relationship with other countries. And we have to get used to the fact that there is no silver bullet, there's no magic solution to remove cyber. It's here to stay. That's why you need people like me and my colleagues. What can I say?
Would you buy a used car from this man? Is the key question tonight. Good to see you.